What's cracking? Welcome to Griffin and Bass. He's not Griffin.
Not Griffin.
That is AJ Reilly, host of The Corner and Beyond the Box. Ryan Griffin is in Hotlanta, so he is not going to be joining us today. I hope he's enjoying himself down there in the ATL. Once again, AJ Reilly, thank you for joining us. Host of The Corner and Beyond the Box. But I am Bass, and before we get into everything regarding the Lions, Michigan, a little tiny bit of Michigan State, got to remind you guys to like and subscribe everywhere you could find us. That would be Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. We also have full episodes on YouTube as well as DetroitSportsNation.com. All right, AJ. Lions lost to the Seattle Seahawks 48-45.
Let's get to it, man.
Our own Ryan Griffin, right around halftime, threw a post up on the one of the Lions groups, biting kneecaps, talking about Goff, because at the time, the Lions' offense was god-awful. Now, in the end, the Lions scored 22 points in the fourth quarter, and they lost by 3. So, of course, after that, everyone jumps on and starts saying, how can you take tasks with Goff? This is all on the defense, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to get to everything, and we can start with the defense. So, AJ, remind me, because I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty close to it. The Lions had one of the worst defenses in football last year, right?
They did have one of the worst defenses in football last year, and through 4 games this season, they have the worst defense in NFL history,
right?
Giving up the most points all time through 4 games. So they're pretty bad. I mean, they're not good at all. No,
defense is not good. Now the offense,
they're bad.
The offense, there was a bunch of noise in the offense that's coming into this year. You know, they thought with another year with Goff and what we saw from Amon-Ra St. Brown to finish off the year, that there was something special possibly there. Swift, we've just been waiting for him to be healthy, because when he is healthy, he can put up numbers. And Jamal Williams is a more than capable backup running back. But then we added DJ Chark, which added another element to the passing game. You still have Hawk, and we're still not sure what we get with Hawk. Some people love him, some people are disappointed. But the offense seemed to have some buzz behind it, and has proven to be clicking. The defense, not the case.
Very good.
And what I want to get across,
you score 45 points in an NFL game, you should win that game.
True.
You know what I mean?
True, but
like,
there are
45
games.
Points in a game. You shouldn't even be close to losing that game.
Yeah, I get the cliche with that, but how many high-scoring games did the Rams and the Chiefs a few years back on Monday Night Football set the world on fire? Like, we see games with these new offenses that, you know, they put up points.
But not the Seahawks offense. They put up 15.7 points through their first 3 games. An average of 15.7 points. So don't give me the shootout cliche. I get it. If this were the Chiefs, sure. If this were the Chargers, sure. But the doggone Seattle Seahawks with Geno Smith? Come on, man.
Yeah.
No, like, I'll save you the cliche of, oh, you should win if you score 45 points. But doggone it, you should win if you score 45 points.
Especially against a bottom 7 offense in the NFL, which is what the Seahawks are right now. I think they're bottom 3. I think they're 28th in offense and 25th in defense. Whatever, 28th and 25th, one of the other. Well, that's true. And they had scored all of 10 points in the second half through their first 3 games before playing the Lions. And not anymore. So it's definitely it's surprising, and yet it's not. Because I think back to the famous Stafford game where he's knocked out against the Browns and he comes back in for the game winner. Like, again, 2 terrible teams that no one expected to do anything, and they put on a hell of a show when they faced each other on the football field. And ended up being one of the more entertaining games of that year. This feels like one of those mixed in with all the ineptitude of what our fans are yelling about when it comes to the Lions. But for as far as entertainment value of a football game, and you're not a fan of either team, you enjoyed the Seahawks and the Lions game.
Yeah, I don't know. I was there, and it was fun, and hence the voice. I apologize, but I couldn't talk to my brother sitting next to me with how loud Ford Field was. And I get it. Like, yeah, you enjoy it, but, man, at a certain point, ineptitude isn't entertaining. And the ineptitude of the Detroit Lions defense is just paltry. It's terrible. They're so bad. And And I don't know what the fix is. I was talking about this with, my co-host Eric on Beyond the Box. And I don't know what the fix is, to be honest with you. I think it starts with scheme. I think it starts with Aaron Glenn and him taking a long look at himself in the mirror and going, what in the actual word I'm not going to say online is going on with this team? I don't have the numbers, and I looked. I cannot find anywhere that breaks down pass coverages by team, like per game. Mm-hmm. But I swear, if I had to put a number on it, Matt, they were in man coverage at least 75% of that game.
Okay.
Like, that's a scheme problem. You don't have the talent to be running man coverage consistently like that.
Right. And, luckily for you, you're a Michigan fan, so you're not experiencing this on Saturdays as well as Sundays. Me being a Spartan fan, I am experiencing this on Saturdays as well as Sundays. And in both cases, it's, to me, a big question of, does a scheme matter if your talent is so lacking that it doesn't matter what scheme you throw in there, the guys doing the job are not good enough? And outside of Jeff Okudah, I don't know if anyone in the secondary is good enough. It's not fair to throw anything on Lucas or Kirby Joseph, these younger guys that haven't really had the chance. But for the guys who are out there, AO who's out there, no one seems good enough.
So I think that scheme matters even more when you don't have the talent. Because you have to put those less talented players in a position to succeed. And Aaron Glenn's not doing that. Listen, these guys are NFL players. They're good football players, but when you're comparing them to the NFL football pool of talent, most of them are below average. And he's consistently in this scheme putting below average players on islands. And that's not a recipe for success. When you're blitzing consistently and you're having Deshaun Elliott blitz from 7-8 yards back and not even getting close to the quarterback, there's no reason at all for that. That's just bad scheme. It's bad scheme all over the place. You have to find a way to scheme around your deficiencies. If you're asking Alex Anzalone to cover a tight end in the flat, your scheme is broken because he is horrible in coverage. I think he graded out at a 35 on PFF this week. And our defenders, I just want to make this point. I was looking up the stats. According to PFF grades, our top 6 defenders, 3 of them came from this draft class. Malcolm Rodriguez was number 1, Kirby Joseph, and then number 6 was Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
So the talent could potentially be there, but this was Kirby Joseph's first start. And my brother and I made mention of it numerous times throughout the game. Like, he's actually playing quite well for being, he did a good job, I thought. Rodriguez, right? Forced a fumble on special teams. He had 11 tackles, had a quarterback pressure. He did good, but it's scheme, man. I'm telling you, it's scheme. And Aaron Glenn's gotta find a way to be better in the way that he puts his players in positions to succeed. That's the bottom line for me.
So part of that scheme is also what the front 7 are doing. And if they're not getting home with just the 4, now you're trying different packages of blitzing to get to the quarterback before he has ability to get rid of the ball accurately and down the field to take advantage of our secondary. And it looked like that's what they were trying to do all the time against Seattle because they know what they have back there is not good enough, and they're trying whatever they can using who they think are the better guys on their defense, which is the defensive line, to get home on the quarterback before he has the ability to really hurt us. It clearly didn't work, but if you're not getting home with your normal pass rush of 4, and now you got to bring more guys into blitz, which put the secondary guys even more of an island, I don't know how we find an answer with the personnel that we have. I just think it doesn't matter what scheme you do. The guys that we have are not good enough, and until they are replaced with guys who are good enough, this is what the defense is going to be, no matter what scheme you throw out there.
Well, yeah, but at this point, what do you have to lose to mix things up? Who knew that Frank Kaminsky being out was going to be as big of a blow as it has been, right? I mean, that's obviously a huge loss for us. But one thing that I noted in the preseason that I really appreciated when we were talking about Aiden Hutchinson was the fact that they were moving him along the defensive line. He wasn't just a 7-9 technique consistently. They had him moved inside, and there's no wrinkles happening at all. And at this point in the season, when you are the worst defense in the NFL and potentially the worst defense in NFL history, what do you have to lose to reimagine like scheme, to reimagine plans, to shift guys along? You got Charles Harris and Aiden Hutchinson opposite each other. How do we mix that up? Maybe we take in Aquara and put him opposite Hutchinson and get somebody else for Harris and really create like these different type of matchups, because Aiden Hutchinson, he goes invisible because he gets double teamed. But the fact is, when you're getting double teamed, that should open up lanes for somebody else, and those guys just aren't taking advantage of it. Aleem McKeel's not taking advantage of it. The other guys along those lines are not taking advantage of it. And so at a certain point, you've got to find a way to either create an opportunity for Hutchinson to not be double teamed, or get guys in position that can take advantage of Hutchinson being double teamed. There was one moment in that game, man, I don't know if you caught it, but one moment in that game where our scheme led to Seattle finding a way to isolate DK Metcalf on Aquara in coverage. Like, that is a huge problem. And I was telling Eric on Beyond the Box last night, I said, listen, if I was a play caller, I'd be circling that play in the brightest color I could circle it in and come back to it 4 or 5 times if I know that I can get DK on Aquara. Like, that's a scheme issue. That's a problem in what, like, I don't even have words for that. That's how bad that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, the offense is saying we know what the defense is going to do. It's not a good look for the defense. It definitely is not a good look for the defense.
No. But who's responsible for the defense? It's not a good look for the defensive coordinator when the opposing running back's going, we got bad looks. We took advantage of bad looks, right? Like, that's a problem.
Yeah. There are a lot of surprising factors in this game. How successful they were with the run game.
Looking like an all-pro.
Well, that's the thing, though. With our defense, every quarterback has that ability, especially if they have some mobility with their ability. Geno Smith has that mobility with his ability, and we've seen how bad we are when a quarterback can escape.
To scheme.
I understand, but it also goes back to the lack of talent
in man coverage, and you've got. It does go back to lack of talent, but when you're putting guys on islands in man coverage and they got their back turned to the quarterback because they're covering a receiver and that lane opens up for a quarterback to run, that's why they got beat against Jalen Hurts. That's why they got beat against Geno Smith, is because their scheme was bad. That man coverage, I'm telling you, this is not a man coverage team. And they made that switch at the beginning of this year where they went from like a 4-2-5 big nickel to a 4-3, like a traditional base 4-3, so they could get more linebackers on the field. Well, guess what? When your linebacking core is the weakest part of your defense and you've built a scheme around having more bad linebackers on the field, that's a problem. Give me more athletic guys that are a little bit faster. Go back to the nickel, put Rodriguez in the middle at linebacker, let Anzalone cover punts. I don't care because he's trash. And get to a better scheme.
Well, I think all of our linebackers are trash when it comes to coverage.
You got to put guys in position to succeed. Malcolm grades out quite well in coverage.
In coverage?
Like, that guy's a gem in the 6th round. Yeah, he's not bad. He's not bad.
I have to see those numbers because I've watched him in coverage, and that's where he gets beat. Like, when I see him beat, it's in coverage.
I'll look it up.
Scrambling to tackle and taking down the run, he's fantastic. Coverage, but he's the rookie. He's smaller, and
sure, yeah, that matters. It does matter, but I'm just telling you. I bet you anything that it. All right, in coverage this season, he's our 6th best cover guy, according to PFF. Okay. He actually has a higher coverage grade than Jeff Okudah.
Again, this is not a good team, so being our 6th best cover guy on a bad team of coverage is not saying much. And Okudah, for everything he's done really well this year, he's not a lockdown one-on-one. He's getting help over the top. He's doing his job and doing it really well.
Yes. But
this isn't Slade. This isn't Revis. This isn't these kind of guys.
Kirby. No, for sure, and he was drafted to be that. But like, you take out Kirby Joseph, who's only played a game, and Bobby Price, who's only played a game, and Rodriguez is fourth on the team.
Right, on our team. Our team.
On our team. But you asked about him being bad in coverage. Like, he grades out acceptable. He's not Alex Anzalone, who's like probably way down the list. Let me see where Anzalone's at. Oh yeah, he's 16th on the team in coverage. But yeah, we're asking him to cover the flats. That's a scheme issue, right? He's not Mike Hughes. Mike Hughes has a 31 as a DB. He grades out as a 31 in coverage. Mike Hughes needs to be put down into the box to stop the run, which he actually could be decent at, but he's not been great. Deshaun Elliott grades out okay. Juju Hughes, who blew the coverage in Minnesota, this team, I get the talent aspect, but if the talent isn't there, then you've got to find a way to scheme around, right? If you've got a bunch of heavy-set offensive linemen and a big bruising back, you're not running the spread offense. You're going to scheme around the players that you have.
Right.
That's what's lacking. Yes, the talent isn't there, but the scheme is also awful for the talent that they have.
I don't know. I guess I'm just shook on this because, my Saturdays are filled with a defensive secondary that doesn't do anything either, and they do the exact opposite in the scheming. They go with zone. They don't play man, and they get picked apart like it's nothing. So, to me, when it doesn't matter what you're doing, zone or man. When you don't have the talent, you don't have the talent. And in football, it's a heck of a lot easier to build an offense than it is to build a defense. It's a faster process to build an offense than it is to build a defense. A defense takes time.
Okay.
We are in year 2 of Campbell's run at head coach and everything that comes with it. This defense is nowhere near ready. I didn't expect it to be ready and knew that our offense was going to have to put up 40-plus points a game for us to even be in the football game, which has proven to be true.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a delicate balance, right? Because you've got to get good play. You're absolutely right. Building an offense is a lot easier, right? Because you know what you're doing with the football. Defense is all about reacting. I keep picking on him, but he deserves to be picked on this week. Anzalone was 3 to 4 yards behind every bit of coverage that he was supposed to be in. He was terrible. But then also on the other side, and I don't know if the Minnesota game played into this or not, but Awarie on 3rd and medium to 3rd and short is still playing 5-6 yards off the guy. So do you think those 6 penalties got in his head from the week before? Probably. But there were a lot of underneath completions that could have very easily been handled if you just play a little bit of press man coverage with 2 safeties over the top. It's not difficult, but the amount of looks that they gave with a single high safety, a press down corner, and a corner off, which means they're probably playing some type of cover 2 role or some type of crazy, bad matchup game. It's just not great, and Seattle picked it apart, man. And it's going to really come to a head this week if Matt Patricia led offense with Bailey Zappi, or however you say his name, who's their 3rd-string rookie quarterback and is potentially starting for them against New England Patriots. It's going to really come to a head if they go off and put 30 points up. I mean, they've only, through 4 games now, they've scored 74 points, so that's, I'm not good at math, but that's not even 20 points a game. So I'm very interested to see what's going to happen against New England.
They did just have one hell of a game against Green Bay in Green Bay. And you are dealing with Bill Belichick, who's one of the greatest coaches of all time. And usually has something up his sleeve to hide his team's deficiencies and take advantage of your team's deficiencies. There are a few, if any, are better. Here's the thing, again.
I'm going to, because you got to make a statement this week, though, right? If New England goes out and drops the most points that they've dropped all season long, then you have a serious issue with Aaron Glenn on your hands. A serious issue of the inability to make adjustments when adjustments are needed.
But again, what adjustments can you really make if you are really lacking in talent? How big of an adjustment can you really make if your talent just isn't fast enough, isn't smart enough, isn't good enough?
I don't care. Get creative. Go to a freaking Tampa 2 if you have to. I don't care. Put 2 deep safeties, put everybody else in coverage, and rush 4.
Okay, so you don't care about result. You want to see you just want to see different looks, even if they fail.
No, I think that if you are getting Well, no, I want to see adjustments. And here, I'll give you an example, right? We talked about the clock management a lot on Beyond the Box in the Minnesota Vikings game, which I know you guys talked about on Griffin and Bass as well, right? We talked about how they managed the clock poorly. And I said last week on our show, I want to see them get better at clock management. Well, in the first half, when they had the ball right before halftime, they managed that clock perfectly, exactly how they were supposed to. 4th and 1 with 2 seconds, we're either scoring or going into halftime and getting the ball back. That's the type of thing I want to see. I want to see adjustments and improvements where we are deficient. And so if a zero blitz man coverage is not working, adjust and then let's see what happens. If it works, great. Let's figure out a way to build off of that. If it doesn't, let's keep adjusting. It's all trial and error.
Right, but if that's all we're going to do this year is just continue to try new defensive looks that don't have a hope of actually working because our players just aren't good enough, the fans aren't going to see that. And all they're going to do is continue doing what you're doing, which is screaming for Aaron Glenn's head to be fired at week 4 of his second year as a D coordinator.
Oh, man. You don't do that to me because I did not say that. Do not do that to me. Do not do that. I will never come on this show again. You put that evil on me. I did not say that. I'm not calling for his head. I just want to see him be the coach that everybody believes him to be and not be stuck in this is what we're doing, but adjust to the players that he has. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not calling for his job. Get out of here, man. No way.
So hang on. You want him to adjust to the players he has. The players he have are terrible. You want him to hide a 12th man on the field somewhere? Try to get an advantage with an extra player? I don't know what adjustments he can realistically make that are going to make a difference.
Pull a Woody Hayes and punch a guy as he's walking by the sideline. I don't care.
That worked out well for Woody.
Like, just show me that you have some kind of investment in changing. Like, not in change. Look, I'm not saying change. What I'm saying is adjust. You got beat how many times on a play action pass dumped to the flats? It took them, I counted when I was at the game. I did the math, and I'm not good at math. You know this. It took them 57 minutes and 38 seconds of actual game time to figure out how to cover a tight end in the flats. They stopped it one time, and that was on a deflection in the fourth quarter. With 2 minutes and 22 seconds left in the fourth quarter, they finally stopped that play.
Okay, but how many other plays did they not stop? How many other plays did they not stop throughout the day? Every single one of them, basically. The Seahawks never punted. So every single play the Seahawks did basically worked. Whatever running play they called, whatever passing play they called. You can focus on what the two tight end sets did and that they didn't adjust to it in time. But if they literally have to adjust to every single offensive play that Seattle's calling because they're all working, then we're getting nowhere. Like, nothing's going to happen because nothing's working anyway.
No, but here's the thing, right? You're kind of proving the point for me because Seattle did exactly what I'm talking about. Because at one point, I think it was deep into the second quarter, Rashad Penny had 4 carries for 2 yards. 4 carries for 2 yards. Mm-hmm. And then what did Seattle do when they came out in the second half? Well, they stopped trying to run between the tackle and the guard, and they started running off tackle, and they started running speed sweeps, and they started getting to the outside and to the edge, and that's where they adjusted. Those are the types of adjustments that I'm talking. Okay, that's not working. Let's go out a hole. Let's, just adjust our eyesight one tiny little bit and make that small adjustment that made such a big difference. Because Penny had 2 long touchdown runs and should have had a third had he not tripped over the 30-yard line. So that's all I'm talking about, is just those minor adjustments that I get it. The players are bad. I understand. But you got to earn your money as a coach somehow. You can't just be like, oh, well, okay, whatever. This is just who we have, so we're just going to give up 1,000,000 points and a jillion yards every freaking game. You can't do that. You got to find a way to adjust. And that's all that I'm asking for, is just adjust, man. Just find a way to freaking adjust.
I'm at acceptance with this defense for right now. Is that, I don't think anything is going to work. Whatever adjustments Aaron Glenn tries to make, I don't think we have the horses for it. and this is what our defense is going to be all year, especially with the losses that we already have now that are season ending with Tracy Walker. I don't see anything coming in to fix that and fix the defense from the linebackers on, or even the D-line, because the D-line is not getting home as much as people thought they would.
I mean, no, and when they did get home on Sunday, they couldn't finish the tackle. I mean, that was huge. I mean, if you have no pass rush, then you got to feel like you got to spend extra blitzers to make a pass rush, and then you're putting guys on an island. And excuse me, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work at all.
No, and I just think
acceptance is a bad place. So man, I don't like.
I know, but it's
and I get
it's
it
the Lions, and so
with Michigan State too, and just two horribly bad defenses. I'm sorry, Matt, for your.
This is my childhood just coming back around.
It's not great.
Like, this is just like, oh, this is what I know this. I grew up with this.
But like, I feel like we need to move off the Lions at a certain point. But I do got to ask you this question. Because it's something that we've discussed on Beyond the Box, and I don't know if you guys have discussed it or not, or at length on Griffin and Bass, but did the Lions have unreasonable expectations placed on them this season?
By their fans, absolutely. By, the national pundits, I don't think so. But by their fans, yeah, the fans are ridiculous. They drank up all that Kool-Aid in Hard Knocks, and they just
Hold on. Wait a second. We're not going to blame the fans solely for this when you had media pundits being like, they're going to be one of the most dangerous teams. They're potentially a playoff team, blah, blah, blah. Like, the success of Hard Knocks and how amazing Hard Knocks was set this team up for failure from day one. I feel like the expectations were sky high. And, I mean, this was my biggest fear coming into the season, was what is happening right now. Is all these expectations and then a defense that can't stop anybody, and I mean, did you have them being 1-3 after 4 weeks?
No, I had them being 0-4.
No, you did not.
Oh, yes, I did. I didn't have this team winning more than 6 games all year. I didn't buy into the hype.
No,
I kept looking at the team we
did
had. But I thought the Vikings would beat us. I thought the Eagles would beat us. I thought the Commanders would beat us.
You really thought the Seahawks were going to beat us? Knowing what they were going through and potentially having to face Drew Lock?
I saw DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett as wide receivers and thought that was enough alone to beat our defense.
Well, I mean, DK did have 140-something yards Sunday.
Yeah, and Lockett quietly had 90.
I don't know. I just feel like there was a lot of... Yeah, I know. I knew from that first drive when it took 7 minutes and they just went down the field at will. I knew, I was like, this is going to be a long day.
Well, and it had to feel even longer.
I expect them to not get a single stop.
Yeah, so you being there, that first half had to feel even longer because after they score that long touchdown, Goff and the offense come out and go 3 and out, and then Seattle gets the ball right back, and then they score again, and then the Lions get it back, and they basically went 3 and out again, except Campbell decided to roll the dice and fake a punt.
Well, hold on.
And
your timeline's wrong. No, your timeline's wrong. Did the Lions get their stop? The Lions punt.
Right. Lions punt. It was the fumble by Malcolm Rodriguez. Got the touchdown.
Fumble.
Seattle.
Touchdown to Hawkinson. Yeah. And then.
All right. Then Seattle goes and scores again, and the Lions get the ball right back.
Scores, and then the Lions fake the punt.
Fake the punt. Right. Exactly. So the offense to start this game was not good. Got gifted. Malcolm Rodriguez made a hell of a play on Lockett to strip the ball, and the Lions took advantage of it, and I applaud them. They should have, and they did. But without that, it might be 14-0 early, and then the Lions are forced to punt again, except they faked the punt, and they got a first down out of it, and they did a little bit. But the offense to start the game was not good. And then, obviously, to start the second half, Goff throws into a Hawkinson double-covered route where he doesn't even look off the defense. The defenders are watching his eyes the whole time and pick off that pass short of Hawk and return it. Like, before the fourth quarter, there was plenty to complain about with the offense of the Detroit Lions in this game. In the fourth quarter, the Lions put up 22 points, which is half of their points for this game, and do some garbage minute at the end to get this thing to a one-score game. Yeah. But the offense had a ton of blame in this game as well before that fourth quarter, and now everyone just wants to focus on the defense, which y'all should have known was going to be terrible coming into this season anyway, so your focus should be on the offense and how they're doing, because there's actually expectations for the offense.
Yeah, but listen, I mean, all right, we've had our discussions. I've written my articles. You know I am not a Jared Goff fan by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not going to be somebody that sits here and says that he's the future of the Detroit Lions. But I also am not going to sit here and say that he was terrible on Sunday, because he wasn't. And I can't in like good conscience say that he was bad. Yes, the pick six is huge for sure. But there are plenty other of, like, it's like blaming the officials, right? We go back and forth on this all the time. You can blame the officials all you want, but there's so many things that happen throughout a game that the onus can be put on a number of different things. We can't really blame Eberle for missing 2 extra points because they still lost by 3. So it's not like that cost them the game. Yes, the pick six looms large, but if Jared Goff is not in that game with the receivers that he has, completing, 26 of 39 passes for 378 and 4 scores. Like, this is a lot worse than it actually was. So, yeah, the offense stalled and was very slow to get going. For sure, 100% very slow to get going. But, I mean, you cannot look at the offense and go, this is on you guys, because it was clearly not an offensive problem this week. It wasn't. I understand 22 points in the fourth quarter. I understand the garbage time touchdown, but I'm telling you, being there, like, they had the 3-and-out on the first drive, which was pitiful. Just not great. Like, throwing a third down completion short of the sticks. I hate it. Nothing drives me more insane than throwing the ball short on third down. But the offense, I mean, they made plays when they had to make plays. That catch by Josh Reynolds for the touchdown in the fourth quarter was one of the greatest catches I have ever seen. That was beautiful. The long pass to Hockenson, like, the offense did what it needed to do. So, like, you can bag on them all you want, but I'm not going to be here for the slander this week.
I'm sorry, they did eventually. It was 24-9. It was 24-9 at one point.
Today about, highs and lows. It was. You're right.
It was 20 against the Seattle defense, which is one of the worst defenses in football. I'm sorry. I'm not going to forgive it. Am I going to place the blame on them? No. But the offense didn't do enough. The defense damn sure didn't, and we all know that. When you need to score half your points for the entire game in the last quarter to try and get back into this, you failed for the first 75% of the game.
Yeah, but so again, how many times did they possess the ball in the third quarter, though? Because I will say that was one of the things I saw Geno Smith doing quite well, was actually working the clock. Even when they had the ball with like 6-7 minutes left, he'd get up to the line of scrimmage. There's 15 seconds left on the play clock, and he'd step back, let it wind down another 10 seconds, and snap the ball. So I get it. Like, I understand where you're coming from. And, yeah, people need to have their feet held to the fire. I just wouldn't hold them as close for the offense this week because, I mean, what – here I go. You've made me defend Jared Goff, and I may punch you in the throat the next time that I see you. I may punch you in the throat the next time that I see you. But when you're talking about a quarterback that has Josh Reynolds as his number 1 and Tom Kennedy as his number 2, and he still did what he did, like, I get it. They're gonna stall out. There was just no way they couldn't stall out a couple of times. I mean, Khalif Raymond, Jared Goff threw a good ball to him over the middle of the field, and Khalif Raymond literally just drops it for a fumble. Like, that was a game changer. That's not on Goff, right? So, God, Matt, I knew I shouldn't have come on here tonight because I knew you were going to make me defend this.
All right, let's get to something you do want to talk about. Let's get off the Lions. We've got plenty of time to get back on this team for other shows. Let's get to your Michigan Wolverines, because I'm not going to talk about my Spartans. My Spartans are not going to win a damn game until they completely changed their defense. Kind of sounds like my Lions. But your Michigan Wolverines did something very impressive this Saturday.
But is that scheme or players?
It's players at Michigan State. You damn right. I don't care if Bill Parcells comes down to coach that defense. That defense is not stopping a nosebleed in that secondary. Not a chance. But your Michigan Wolverines went to Iowa City and got a win for the first time in a very long time. Yep. And they looked confident doing it. And Ryan and I talked about it before, and we called it a slugfest in the sense that Iowa was going to make it difficult with their defense as far as it's going to be longer, timely drives. It's not going to be you just beating them in 3 plays to get down the field and score a touchdown and keep going. But you soundly defeated Iowa with the running game, with the passing game, with your defense. And we knew Iowa's offense is very inept and that Petrus is not that great. He actually had a decent game in the end because of some garbage minutes again in the fourth quarter that made his stats look a little bit better, and he got a touchdown at the end to ruin our friend Dylan's parlay. But you guys, it was a very impressive win on Saturday for the Michigan Wolverines. As much as I hate your team, I have to say it was.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that was the first time Jim Harbaugh had ever won in Iowa City. I think he was 0-4 lifetime. I think 0-3 as a coach and 0-1 as a player. I forget the stat, but
other way around.
Yeah, and here's the thing, right? Like that 0-1 as a coach and 0-3 as a player. Okay, so that is it's a big win and it's a big confidence boost for the Michigan Wolverines because they were playing probably the best defense they're going to see until Ohio State, and even maybe a better defense than Ohio State. And still were able to put up 27 points. And still were able to get the ball moving on the ground. JJ did enough to be, relevant and good for the game. Our buddy Paul graded him out as like a B for the game because just the way that he was able to, there's still some alignment issues, all those other things that, will get cleaned up. But, I mean, I think people need to start taking some notice of Blake Corum a little bit because that dude can run the rock. I mean, that move that he put on that all Big Ten linebacker at the end of the game to score that final touchdown was I was amazed. I saw a lot. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he just did that. And then I saw the behind view and I was like, whoa, I didn't even know going that fast you could move that quick and make a guy miss that bad. And Michigan should come out of Iowa with all the confidence in the world saying we could beat anybody.
I mean, what we've seen as far as what Georgia did this week with South Carolina did not look impressive at all. NC State? I don't know. I can't remember which one Clemson played and which one Georgia played.
It was Missouri.
Oh, yeah, Georgia, Missouri. Sorry. Yeah, Georgia with Missouri.
Missouri, I think.
Yeah, sorry. And Clemson played NC State. Yeah, with Georgia, what they did with Missouri, and that Missouri was controlling that with their defense and keeping Georgia, kind of on their heels. Georgia's beatable. This is not last year's Georgia team. Alabama is not unstoppable either this year. There is no real, from what I've seen, just legit nobody's going to beat this team kind of team this year. And so Michigan, with having these other games, obviously because you don't do anything. It's Ohio State at the end of the year. So there's plenty of time to continue to work on things for JJ and the offense. But JJ's abilities add another level to what your offense can be and make you even more dangerous that you should be thinking that you can play with anybody this year.
Yeah, for sure. I'll tell you the game I'm most nervous about, though, is
Penn
4
State?
weeks from now when they travel to Rutgers. Nope.
What? You're afraid of Greg Schiano?
No, I'm not afraid of Greg Schiano, but big win at Iowa, Indiana this weekend, at home against Penn State, big game, at home against Michigan State, and we know how bad Michigan State's defense has been, but they always seem to rise to the occasion against Michigan, and then the following week you go to Rutgers. I'm not saying, I don't think that Michigan's going to lose that game, but I think it does present a type of trap game for Michigan. Look, the talent level is going to win out. I'm not saying Michigan's going to lose that game to Rutgers. What I'm saying is that's a game that you need to have circled on the schedule to say, okay, we need to come ready to play that game because it could potentially be a big trap.
I mean, I think I understand what you're saying.
It could be some cause for concern.
I think if you guys, and I expect you guys to be
Nebraska, who we don't believe is as bad as Scott Frost coached them to be.
Stop it. You're not losing to Nebraska. Stop it. You guys should be undefeated going into the Rutgers game.
I'm not saying that we're going to lose either of these games. We should be. 100% we should be. But I don't, again, there's always that tendency to get trapped in a game. And we've seen it before. I'm not saying that it's going. I'm just saying that's a game that I have circled to say, okay, if there's ever going to be a letdown, they'll still win because their talent's going to win out. But if there's ever going to be a letdown, that could be the game that I would look at and be like, yeah, that makes sense. Penn State, Michigan State, and then at Rutgers.
It's just you'd have to have a pretty good offense to put a scare into Michigan. And I don't think Rutgers has that good of an offense this year where they can put the scare to Michigan. Yes, you could make some mistakes, but I think your pass rush is the questionable part of the Michigan team as a whole this year with all the people you had to replace that went into the NFL. So that's where the worry would be. I just don't think Rutgers has the offense to put that scare to you guys. Penn State, I understand because that you guys, there's just that battle. Obviously, Ohio State to finish off the year is the game, but I think you need something of a dynamic offense to put a scare.
Yeah, I'm talking about before you get to the Ohio State game, right? If you want to listen, again, I got to reiterate the fact that they're not going to lose to Rutgers. I'm just saying it's a game that you look at and go, it could make, I'll be as bold to say the only way that Michigan loses before they get to Ohio State is by beating themselves and through mistakes that they make. Yeah. That's the only way.
And the good thing is y'all haven't done that.
We really haven't.
You played really clean football.
But even Penn State, I'll take Jim Harbaugh over James Franklin any day of the week.
Every day.
Michigan State, you don't have the offensive firepower, I think, to beat us. And your defense, we know, is Swiss cheese. So, I mean, the fact that Michigan was able to run the ball as well as they did against Iowa means that your run defense at Michigan State does not scare me in the slightest.
Right.
And if JJ wants to throw the ball, we know that JJ will be able to throw the ball at will against Michigan State.
Yep, but I am not looking forward to the game this year.
For whatever reason, Michigan State always shows up against Michigan. So
of course, it's their biggest rival. It's not your biggest rival. It's their biggest rival. They're going to expend
a lot more energy. No, it's not. It's not. I don't know. I like the way they're playing. I'm very confident in the way that they're playing. I'm glad that JJ's the starter. I think that was the right decision, but it's funny to me because his stat lines don't look much different than what Cade's looked like last year, but yet Cade was getting ripped up and down. I mean, what did he... I'd have to go back and look at the stats because I don't have them offhand, but he only threw for 168 yards last week or something like that. It was not a, insane amount of yardage. And I think
it was 150 something yards. I think it was 155 yards, but he didn't throw that many times either.
Those are right, but wasn't that the complaint about Cade McNamara? This offense they can't throw because Cade can't. But it's just funny to me that was the argument to get Cade out, and now that Cade is out, it's still exactly what's happening with Michigan football because this team is a run-first team because of how good their run game is. You don't need a guy to hawk the ball 40 times. And it's just interesting. I had to make that point at some point because I'm like, these stats are not different than Cade's. They're gone nearly the same.
The running stats are a little bit better than Cade's when he chooses to use his legs. He's definitely more mobile than Cade is.
Yeah, naturally they're going to be.
But so hats off to you for
Can't
a
sneak,
great
though.
game against Iowa. You know, you came out right off the bat, an 11-play, 75-yard drive, just set the tone that way. Because if it goes the other way, you go 3 and out. Now the crowd's going nuts, and it's gonna be a whole different ball game. But by you guys just marching down the field methodically, it just continued to keep the Iowa fans a little bit in check. They couldn't be as ruckus as they can get, obviously. And, you know, before you knew it, you'd scored on 4 of your first 5 drives. And now you got an Iowa offense that can't do anything and didn't do anything until there was basically no time left in the game. So from a Michigan State fan to you, hats off to you. Hell of a win, hell of a game. And I'm not looking forward to when the Spartans and Wolverines get together this year, because we're going to get boat rocked about 55-9. Be 3 field goals for Michigan State.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm sure you would.
Anytime I can get that score, I'll take it.
All right.
As long as
that's
going to
do it.
down next week against Rutgers.
Yeah, right. That's going to do it for this edition of Griffin and Bass. I'm not going to waste any time talking about what the Michigan State Spartans didn't do against Maryland this week. So I want to thank AJ Reilly from The Corner and Beyond the Box for taking the place of Ryan Griffin for this one episode. And want to thank you guys for kicking it with Griffin and Bass. As always, Wu-Tang is for the children. And we'll see y'all later in the week. Peace.
Hey, Ryan Griffin here. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of Griffin and Bass. Be sure to give us your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to click the bell to receive the latest notifications from DSN, and subscribe for breaking news, community blogs, polls, contests, and other content.